Hello there, Internet. Mogwai here, and I got yet another MTG Arena video for you guys today. As today, we are finally going to play some Raccoons, an expensive deck. Get it? We have a Raccoon deck here that is built around the expend mechanic. In case you don't know what the expend mechanic is, expend says whenever, expend is associated with a number, first of all. It's a very limited mechanic right now with Bloom Barrow. So right now we see it associated with 4, but maybe in the future we'll see different variations of this mechanic, which is really interesting. But we are playing into the expend 4, which is attributed to the Raccoon tribal for Bloom Barrow. And it says when you expend 4 as you spend your 4th total mana to cast spells during a turn. Something that's important to note with this is that you cannot do something like, for example, what's a little bit misleading is that at first when I looked into this, I thought I could use the Keen-Eyed Curator to tap mana. And then, like, for example, I tap 1 mana with this to exile a card from the graveyard, and then I tap 3 to play Moira, and I thought that would allow me to expend. But no, expend has to be, the mana has to be spent 100% on casting spells in order to trigger. So that's a very important clarification that I learned the hard way, and hopefully you don't have to go through the same. Keep that in mind. But it's a mechanic that says whenever you expend 4, in this case, as you spend your 4th total mana to cast spells this turn, something happens. In the case of Wondertil Mentor, we get to put a +1/+1 counter on this mana tapping creature. But the key card in this deck, I have 2 key cards here. The first one is Moira, the Trash Tactician, a 3 mana Gruul. A 3 mana Gruul 2/4 legendary Raccoon warrior that has an ability that says at the beginning of your main phase, you add either red or green mana for each Raccoon you control. And then whenever you expend 4, you gain 3 life, which is amazing against aggro decks. Whenever you expend 8, which this deck is tuned to be able to do, you exile the top 2 cards of your library until the end of your next turn. You can play those cards. So it's like a pseudo card draw effect. And that is what Moira is, just a value and tempo engine. The more Raccoons we have on the board, the more mana we'll be generating at the beginning of our main phase. And the more of this mana that we use to cast spells, the more value we'll be getting out of this card. So this card just provides everything: health gain, momentum, and card advantage. All in one with a nice 4 toughness for 3 mana, which is really good. It's that premier. I don't know why I'm putting my headphones on. I was like talking. I was just like ready to go into a game. What the hell? What was I saying? Yeah, that 2/4 Preacher of the Schism premier stat line. That's really good, especially against stuff like mono red aggro that runs stuff like Lightning Strike. We were able to survive shit like that. The 2/4 stat line also allows us to be 1 stat over cut down range as well, which these things may seem like specific scenarios, but it leads to Moira having more survivability as a 3-drop than others. And every little ounce of like better survivability that a card can have, terrible English there, is good. So I really like the stat line for a card like this, is what I'm trying to say. My phone is vibrating there. And overall, it's the card that we built the deck around, but not also Moira. The payoff for Moira is a full set of HUGS, the Grizzly Guardian. HUGS is not a Raccoon. He's a Badger, but I kind of see him as like the leader of Badgers, or the leader of Raccoons. Like South Park would say, the Coon himself. HUGS is initially a 4 mana 5/5 with trample that allows you to play an additional land on each of your turns. But HUGS can be a lot more than that, because we can pay X mana. And this X mana that we pay to cast HUGS contributes towards the expend requirement. So with HUGS, the more mana we spend, besides the 4 mana to cast them, the more cards we'll be able to exile from the top of our library when he enters the board. And then the same as Moira, until the end of your next turn, we get to play those cards. So HUGS acts as a strong unit, right, that we're capping out, which is a 4 mana, despite the fact that we're generating a lot of mana. I'm going to explain that in a bit. But he's also representing card draw for us, like a very powerful source of card draw that allows us to just keep going at the opponent, keep developing these creatures. As you can see, we have only one 3-drop in Moira, we have no 1-drop plays, and we have a lot of 4-mana creatures. A full set of HUGS, then we have a one-off of Anzrak, the Quake Mole. That's just a very powerful legendary 4-drop that can allow us to capitalize on a developed board state and get essentially double attacks going on, especially because Anzrak, the Quake Mole, works really well with the likes of the Restless Ridgeline, which we're running as a full set. The reason why we're running this land as a full set, even though it doesn't contribute towards the expend mechanic, it allows us to make use of all that extra mana that we're generating once we don't really have anything else to do with it. We could just apply it to trigger this, and Restless Ridgeline allows us to give, for example, +2 power to Anzrak and make it so that the opponent has to block him or take 10 damage. But if they block him, we get to attack again, right? Which is really good with the man lands as well. We then have a full set of the Hulking Raptor for 4 mana, 5/3 with Ward, and kind of has a similar effect to Moira in that it's just generating as mana at the beginning of the main phase, and we can combine all this mana together and just go crazy. And it's overall a really solid 4-drop that we generally only see in ramp decks specifically, or dinosaur decks, but I've always thought there's more to this card than just that. It's a really, really solid effect. It's kind of like a must-answer 4-drop that can allow us to severely outtempo the opponent if left unchecked. And if it is checked, it will be for the same amount of mana spent to cast it. Because if they go for like a go for the throat or any sort of 2 mana based removal, they gotta pay 2 more mana with the board to deal with it. So you don't lose momentum by developing this, which I also really like. And then we got 3 copies of the Axebane Ferox, which is a 4 mana 4/4 with Death Touch, Haste, and a very good ward effect as well, forcing our opponent to collect evidence 4 in order to target him. Which means that if we develop him on turn 3, by ramping into him through either the Brazen Collector or ideally the Wandertail Mentor, because we'll be able to attack with him that same turn, we have a threatening attacker that cannot be targeted by the opponent early on, because they're just not going to have stuff in their graveyard to collect evidence with. So I really, really like it as another source of like a good 4-drop creature to apply pressure with, because that's what we're trying to do. We're trying to chain 4-drops at a certain point. That way we're triggering Expend 4 and Expend 8 with Moira. And that's kind of the purpose of this deck. It's just a creature-based, beat-down, mid-range deck that is really trying to make sure it doesn't run out of gas thanks to the expend mechanic. And like I mentioned, 4 copies of Restless Ridgeline give us more fuel for damage once we have run out of gas, because eventually it does happen with this kind of deck. And it's nice to have a full set of this to make up for that. We're running a total of 6 tapped lands in a mid-range deck, which seems out of place. But again, because of the structure of our curve, because we have no turn 1 play, we benefit a lot from these lands, because we're always going to be developing a tapped land on turn 1 when we can. And a lot of times we can, we're in a situation where we've developed the Brazen Collector or the Wandertail Mentor. That's why we have such a high density of 4-drops, because we have 8 sources of ramp within our 2-drops that can allow us to play our 4-drops on turn 3. But in certain situations, we can also just use these to play Moira and develop a tap land on turn 3 instead. That's also an option. So that's another reason why this 6 tap land in a deck like this is not only inherently justified, but is going to give us a nice edge as well, especially through the Restless Ridgeline being there. As then we have raccoons, like I mentioned, the Brazen Collector, the Keen-Eyed Curator, and the Wandertail Mentor. And the rest of the deck is either delayed card draw with the Hoarder's Overflow, which we're running as a 3 of. This also allows us to not run out of gas as easily. Whenever we expend 4, we put a stash counter on this, and then we can sack it and discard our hand, and then draw a card for each stash counter on this card. So it's another failsafe to make sure that we always have things to do and we don't run out of cards to play. And then we have 3 copies of Lightning Strike and 2 copies of Scorching Shot, because they are just very efficient 2-mana removal that does the job for this kind of deck. You don't need to be dealing that much damage in this meta, especially because there's so many bats running around. And Lightning Strike is very solid as a removal tool in mid-range decks outside of pure aggro, because dealing 3 damage for 2 mana deals with most things, even though it does not deal with Moira. So maybe we have trouble in the mirror. As that's essentially the concept of the deck here. We have Cavern of Souls, mainly going to be used actually for HUGS a lot of times in the control matchup to make sure we can play a big HUGS without having to worry about opponent countering it. but also in a pinch can be used to allow us to play our Raccoons earlier on curves. And some of them have specific mana requirements, like the Keen-Eyed Curator requiring you 2 sources of green mana, and the Wandertail Mentor requires specifically Gruul sources of mana as well. Sometimes, you know, we just drew too many mountains or too many forests, but Cavern of Souls can allow us to, you know, set that straight. And that is ultimately the deck. I'm surprised I've been talking for 10 minutes already. I thought I was like 5 minutes in. What the hell? What have I been saying? But yeah, this deck does have some weaknesses. Unfortunately, it doesn't really match up well against the Orzhov Bat deck, which is really prevalent. And I may rant about it in today's video because when I was playtesting, because I prepared these 3 decks back to back. Like I had a very long session in which deck building session in which I was playtesting these decks, optimizing them, and throughout this entire, man, I swear to God, I felt like 70% of my games were Orzhov Bat decks because everybody just gravitates towards the same deck every meta. Despite there being so many playable options, people just narrow down on something specifically, and you run into the same matchup again and again, which is unfortunate. And sometimes, you know, you just need to vent a little bit about it, okay? So don't judge me too hard. I don't even remember what I said, but just, okay, yeah, just I'm human, okay? And you'd be like me if you ran into like 54 deep cavern bats back to back, you know? Like, that shit gets old after a certain point. But besides that, we got a lot of very decent matchups out there, and it's overall a very fun deck. Raccoons are particularly interesting because there's no like real good 4-drop Raccoon, and there's no 1-drop Raccoon either. So Moira is not as easy or as snowbally early on as one would think. But if she sticks on the board, oh man, things get out of control. We have Graveyard Attraction, good 5 sources of removal, and the rest is just a lineup of big-ass creatures. You know, not the biggest, but big enough that will beat the opponent to a pulp, hopefully. As Moira can really give us game against aggressive decks, which I love her for. Like, you're going to see her shine today alongside HUGS. And I'm going to stop rambling. Thank you guys for watching. Stay tuned for daily MTG Arena content. That's what we do here. We bring the off-meta into the meta. Every day we come up with a new deck and showcase it here. Leave a like, share with your friends and everybody. Let's get to 10K views on videos. We can do this. I'm putting in the work. I really appreciate all the support, and I'm really happy with the decks that I'm making. So I'm just gonna keep doing what I do. Love you. Have a soul day. Enjoy the matches. I'll see you guys tomorrow. All right, here we go. Let's play some Coons with horrendous puns in the mix, but we don't judge for that. We judge for our plays, right? Copium. Raccoons is an interesting archetype. I can't really say I've figured it out, but it's definitely, it's compelling because of how weird it is, right? Like the expend mechanic, it's interesting design because if you look at the card pool, you actually don't have access to good like 4-drop Raccoons. So, and you don't have 1-drop Raccoons either. So I felt it's only natural to fit into this like this 2-drop, 4-drop core. And I think this is good enough of a hand. Double Lightning Strike gives us interaction. We can lead off with the Restless Ridgeline, since this deck has no turn 1 plays, which is why we have a high density of tap lands. And now we go for the Copperline Gorge. I'd love to see something like Glisa, for example. Come on, develop a 3-drop. There we go, even better. Even better. That's why Lightning Strike is pretty damn good, even outside. Pure burn decks. It's just two mana, instant speed, 3 damage is pretty reliable. Given how a lot of the 3-drops are designed to have 3 health. They shot Moira. They shot her as if she ever would be a sheriff. Like, what the fuck? We're gonna go Hulking Raptor because if they do have removal, they cannot use it now. And I think they do. I think they have a go for the throat, but the War 2 says no. So now's the moment to develop this, because you wanna get rid of it. You have to spend 4 mana. Otherwise, I'm gonna ramp like a madman, and you're probably terrified of what I have. So come on, tap out to kill this. Yeah, exactly. How about we do it again? Get that removal out of them, and open up the path for the quick mode. Look who it is. Look who it is. Anzrak, the Quake Ball! Even the music notes. Alright, let's go. Hulking Raptor in. You got more removal, son? What are the odds they have removal for Anzrak here? By keeping the Hulking Raptor, I guarantee that I'm gonna keep the Hulking Raptor, because that way. Okay, never mind. Okay, so they have like bounce, but they have also like removal as well. What? I shouldn't have killed that, but whatever. That's why I was preserving this, yeah. Let's drop that land. Lisa goes down. We keep drawing lands, man. We're flooding a little bit here. One, two, three, 4, 5, 6, 7. I wasn't expend. This doesn't count as expending, in case you're wondering why I didn't play this before. Because you need to play. You need to spend it to cast like mana. They can't really, like, if they line up again to attack, they leave themselves wide open to die. So they can't make that same play again. Exactly. Okay. Okay, let's see. How do we approach this? Oh man, I gotta reach these kids, man. Cannot reach them kids. If I throw this to attack with that, we won't push enough damage. I'm not gonna attack. Like they're keeping that restless cottage in the back, and my restless ridgeline. They could make this a 3/5, man. Just, you know, would be fine. Okay. I'm gonna let that connect. They must have a reason for attacking. And now I'm gonna activate this and draw. one draw, but maybe that compels him to try to attack my hand now. Okay. Another land, and they're keeping that cottage in the back. All right. What do we get here? The Mentor. Okay. I'm thinking, like, if they block with that... Let me think here for a moment. Why do we think they conceded? If I trigger with you, and I pump you... No, you have good blocks all around. Yeah, that was a premature concede. That was them just being, like, really tilted. That we halted them. We just had to, like, slowly but surely keep... this wasn't lethal here. We just had to keep developing onto the board, keep spreading out. And eventually, you know, get a good draw in. To actually manage to expend 4. We had issues expending 4 in this game. But I think we really made great use of the Hulking Raptor, though. We got a lot of removal out of them. And the lightning strikes were fantastic as well. Good shit. Round 2. Digital Mare is our second opponent, and we got a hand. The game plan is simple. 2-drop and ideally ramp into 4. But we're gonna have to prioritize the Wandertail Mentor unless we draw a green source of mana. We see a Forsaken Miner. We're gonna go with a Wandertail Mentor. Will allow us to play Axebane Ferox on 3, or potentially double up on 2-drops if it doesn't die, of course. Well, you know, perhaps we're being a bit naive there. Now we have first strike on this. This is a great blocker for the Forsaken Miner here. Now that we have that second source of blue mana. Oh boy. Oh, well, what do you know? What are you doing? What are you doing? My boy. Wandertail Mentor first, so that now when we expend 4 with this, we get the +1/+1 counter on the Mentor. These Brazen Collectors with the first strike, a complete and utter counter to this shit. To this Corpses of the Lost strategy with the skeletons, like a complete counter to that, man. And it doesn't matter because you're only getting a boost on attack, like you cannot power through these. We completely halt them this way. It's crazy. Oh my God, stop. I'm gonna hold back with the Axebane Ferox. The ward can be easily bypassed because of their play with the Roundmouth Viper. Ready to trade into that. And develop the land here. So they have Greed's Gambit, but do they have the way to... So whenever you see Greed's Gambit, you're expecting some sort of combo, but because I only see swamps. So if they have a Runmouth Viper, like... What the hell? So far we're alive. So far we're alive, and they just went in. Like I'm waiting for like the punchline here, but we survive on 2. Isn't this just gonna kill them? We trigger the overflow. The Hoarder's overflow at the end of the turn to draw 2 cards. 2 lands. Oh, shit. Okay. Surprise, motherfucker! Woo! The Quake Ball! What the hell was that? I was so I barely like I probably barely said, oh okay, we're about to get to Diamond. Can we get it? Can we get to make it? I can't even talk. Can we make it to Diamond with Raccoons? I'm just like really thrown off by this. It's the first time I see Greed's Gambit outside of the combo with like the blue bird that gives the enchantment. Outside of like a combo that trades it, you know, with an opposing permanent, right? Like this person just generally just played this card. And honestly, they were close. They were close, but on top of that, like they played green. Like, it's like this deck just wants to die. Like, what the? I'm a little bit thrown off by that, but you know, I'll take it. 2 Diamond! Fenara Flash. Will be our final boss. Not for the video, really, but for the Diamond Climb. Let's lead off with the Restless Ridgeline. We keep this hand because we have that tapped land since we have nothing to do turn 1. And now turn 2, we can start developing. We see that this could be a cut down, though I would like to be able to double up. So I'm going to play the Brazen Collector for the ability to double 2-drop on 3. But because I value the Wandertail Mentor more, if they have removal for it... Okay. Let's see what they take. If they target one of my 2-drops, I'll go Raptor. If they target if they target my Raptor, I go double 2-drop, basically. Okay. We are gonna go with the Carplucent Forest. We're gonna swing first with the Brazen Collector, collecting our red mana. That will stick through and will not fade away. Normally it would, but the ability prevents it from that happening. And then we can go Wandertail Mentor first into the Keen-Eyed Curator. We pay 2 life for it, but we enable the we expend that mana and we get a +1/+1 counter on Wandertail Mentor, protecting it from stuff like Cut Down as we continue to try it out with our Raccoons. We have these Restless Ridgelines as well. Tapped land for them. Oh, shame if this bat would not be able to get anything. Oh man, that sucks. We gotta be relentless here. No. What are you doing? Let's just swing first. Because we can't trigger any of these. We have no cards to exile in the graveyard, so we can't even expend even if we wanted to. We drop that second Restless Ridgeline. We play Moira, Trash Tactician. And we're just going all in. Turboing our way to diamond here, ladies and gentlemen. They remove the blockers. Get out of your mind. I mean, look at all that mana. If I tap you, 1, 2, 3, 4. That's why we play both of these. And now the question is, what do we want to preserve? We want one to be Moira. And then we want the other one to be you because they won't want to block into this. And we're using Moira's ability. No, you can't play spells. You have no mana. Like his hand highlighted there for a second. And I'm like, stop. But Moira's ability here is bonkers, allowing me to like on turn 4 trigger both of these Restless Ridgelines. That's why we run this as a 4-up, by the way. That's why this land, even though it doesn't expend, it works really well with Moira because of the excess mana, and also because we can use this to then follow it up with a 4-drop and trigger the expend 8 from Moira. So it's fantastic synergy, and as you guys can see, it gives me stuff to do with my mana. And I didn't even math, like 4, 7, 10, oh, they're dead. I knew that. I knew that. Okay, that's a game to get diamond, though. On video, baby. Perfect 3-0 run. With a sick-ass Raccoon snowball to boot. After we get bat twice. Oh, man. You can't write this. You cannot write this. Oh, my. Oh, man. They're salty. They're salty. Oh, I'm sorry. Your black shit did not go through. Everybody's playing mono black, man. Or black with something in the same shell, you know, bats and discard and this and that. How about try me an original, brother? Stay in diamond. Platinum. Where you belong. Too much? Too much. Probably. I swear to God, Magic made me a little bit more toxic than I already am. Like, I blame the game. Not my fault. Diamond! We're diamond rank. Let's keep going. Dankader. Dankader. We keep this in. In case you were wondering. Because this is a pretty solid opener. Double Copperline Gorge there. Brazen Collector, let's see if they have the cut down. They don't have the cut down. They can still have the 2-mana removal for it, though. If not, we can honestly drop that Feryx turn 3 and start pushing damage. Or, you know, they could just make the most obvious play ever. Like, it feels like it's Deep Cavern Bat, the game. With the ward, like right now, they can't really interact with this, which is nice. Everybody's just playing bats, bro. It's bats here, bats there. Mono black or whatever. Okay, that's really important. That's actually really important. Getting rid of Amalia there. Yeah, nice bat, bro. Magic the Deep Cavern Bat card game. Give me my card back. Degenerate. We get Moira back and we're applying pressure. We're not letting them breathe. That lightning strike was quite decent. They do have the ability to target my Ferox now, though. Okay, they could have a swing here. Okay, Zorline, which allows him to heal. Sucks that we drew so many lands, man. Really does. I think we lose here. Because we flooded, quite simply. We quite simply flooded. Why are you keeping a bat there? Okay. I cry every time. I'm happy this game happened after we made it to time. we flooded here is what happened. Like, look at how little cards we actually played. We ended up in a situation where we have more lands than we have cards in total. Like 4, 5, 6, 7. 1, 2, 6. We drew more lands than cards, and whenever that happens, you're not in a good position. That's Magic best of one sometimes. It is what it is. Redemption time. Brian. I can't keep this hand, Brian. I cannot. Let's drop that. And keep a 6-lander. That could be not terrible if this Wandered Tail Mentor does not get answered. Moira? Moira? You gonna change things, Moira? Okay. I'm gonna develop the hulking raptor. With the ward, it's gonna be very difficult for them to kill. I mean, they could lightning strike it for 4 mana. Okay. They don't give it double strike. Why did they? Why are they? What? They goofed. They goofed. They should have had way more damage here. I'm gonna lightning strike this beforehand, or not. I can. I'm gonna attack with the hulking raptor first. Try to get some damage in, and then right after, I'm gonna lightning strike this. Because that mouse is a threat. It should have given them double attack. I should be at 18, not at 22. But, you know, not gonna complain. Muera here, making sure that we stay nice and healthy whenever we expend 4, healing us. The Valley Quest Caller. The Spellbook Vendor triggers again. We're gonna take this hit. So now she's no longer. She's changed roles basically. But we're making use of this mana here. Gonna get that red. We could go for a HUGS 3. Which I think I like. I'm gonna hold back. I'm not worried of like a board wipe. This is clearly a mid-range battle, so I'm not gonna dive in and give them trades that I don't want to give them. I'm gonna block with HUGS here. To be expected. They keep forgetting that they can only have 1 roll assigned at a time, so like they did not get the health because that card already had a roll assigned to it. But what matters here is that I play you first. So I can expend 4 there. I can drop you. And now, ladies and gentlemen, now we go in. Forcing them to trade into Ansrag, which will allow me to attack again. Oh, that was sexy as hell. The ball and our first win in Diamond. There we go. All right, Mars. You'll be our final boss. Okay. We see Rakdos. It feels like every matchup that I run into is black nowadays. Like everything is just around this color. But as long as it's not like deep cavern bats, you know, I'm fine. I've seen like 40,000 bats from my playtesting. Everything. So many bats. I'm gonna develop the Wandertail Mentor with a 2/2 stat line. Could be removed here. Okay, double ping there. Hired Claw can buff itself, but the Vine Slasher cannot. Okay. Ping there, alright. We develop Moira. And we're gonna try to prevent taking more damage here. We go Moira, the Trash Tactician. Hopefully, having them run out of removal, we can aim to stabilize here. Taking a lot of damage already from these lizards. I need you to live. In hindsight, I should develop the Cavern of Souls for Raccoon. A lot of times I keep it in mind or keep it ready for the Grizzly Guardian, but in this matchup, like, I need to prevent damage as much as possible, so I just took 1 damage that I shouldn't have. If I block here, they can buff this to prevent it, but they can also be playing the Lizard spell that gives them... How much does it give them, though? I feel like Moira is too important. I'm gonna skip. Because I know there's a spell that gives them indestructible and lifelink. So I want to do everything that I can to preserve Moira alive, because every time I expend, I'm going to be gaining health here. What do we need? Both of these go. The 3 health from Moira is huge here. And now we have a Wandertail Mentor with a 3/3 stat line that can trade into the Wandering Cutthroat, even though it can get Menace if it wants. But as long as Moira sticks by, being able to heal 3 health every turn is a huge deal in this matchup. Brazen Collector with the first strike is really neat. There's a cut down. The first strike was really useful here. They may tap... I'm surprised they're playing the Cindering Cutthroat. I'm going to use my health as a resource here. I'm not going to block into that. I'm going to take that damage because I want to keep the Wandertail Mentor around as well. The Wandertail Mentor will continue to grow. And also, I get an extra... Now, do I need the Hoarder's Overflow? Maybe. No. What are you doing? I shouldn't have played like that. I spend... the auto tapper really cursed me there. That's annoying. I'm gonna keep building up this Wandertail Mentor and triggering Moira. The auto tapper really screwed us there. Like, I had to tap the Cavern of Souls first before playing this. I took 1 damage that I shouldn't have, which in this matchup could be crucial. So I have to be careful with that. The auto tapper just does not follow this deck well. Okay. We can lose the Quake Mole. And I'm okay with that. I need to stop taking so much damage. They actually let that die. Okay, so what do we have going on here? 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2 green. No. 2 green, 2 red. 3. Picking up another forest there. And we're gonna swing with... My mic. Sorry about that. We swing with Anzrak, get some nice damage on him. Keep these in the back. We're at 13. We're not under immediate danger. Their board is developed, but it's not the scariest. So I feel like I can afford this swing with Anzrak. Put them on the clock. Retaliate a little bit. But yeah, we got ourselves a Lizard on Raccoon game. And honestly, awesome. Awesome. Because you guys have no idea the amount of bat decks that I just run into throughout the entire day. And when I saw that black, I'm like, oh my goodness, again. Okay, that's a lot. That's a lot. Triple Vine Slasher. Muerra can counter that though. Muerra can counter. Let's get that red. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. But I miss out on this mana. So you know what? I'm just gonna trade those two. Oh my god, enough. This fucking timer. I get it, I get it, I get it. Let's keep Anzrak in the back. We gained 3 health, so we're kind of like, even though they have 3 Vine Slashers, Muerra is keeping us on this game by healing us 3 every turn. They play another land, but they're out of gas. Ladies and gentlemen, they're out of gas, and that 3 damage, we bring it back with the Raccoon. Now all they can do is build up this Hired Claw. But my Anzrak can trade into it and take it on no matter how big it gets. This turn, at least. My Quake Mole will handle it. And now we reloaded. And we have a Hoarder's Overflow. Like, we just gotta stay alive, man. But we gotta develop that Hulking Raptor. Actually, I think I'm losing the Hulking Raptor. No, I think I drew it again. I think the other one is already exiled. Yes. No. Yeah, there's 2 of them. One of them was exiled last turn. Yes. So this one is new. If you don't attack, I'm gonna continue building. How much mana we got? 5, 6, 11. 11 mana. Which means we do this. Into this. Into this. With HUGS, we can play a second land. And we swing with Anzrak. They take the hit. We got more than enough blockers. More than enough blockers here. We got so much card draw enabled as well. Like, we are... As long as our health doesn't go to 0, like, we will never run out of things to do. And they gotta unleash. They gotta go in. Double ping there. Why pump this up now? Wait until I declare my blockers and then pump it up, my child. No, no. What are you doing? Why? Can you explain to me why you just did this? Okay.